We're gonna do this tier list maker of Yu-Gi-Oh formats. Okay. This is gonna be interesting. We're gonna try to speed run this. So what do we have? How many formats do we have total? 68 formats, apparently. I've skipped a few here or there that I think are just in terms of formats. All these formats are taken from Yu-Gi-Oh! Format Library, which has a nice chronicle of all of them, including ban lists and stuff that we'll be referring to as we go. So, we have tiers. We have S, A, B, C, D. Now, I like giving tiers names. So, when it comes to these tiers, we have the S tier, goated. We have the A tier, which is memorable. We have the B tier, good Yu-Gi-Oh! We have the C tier. Call this one tolerable. Then we have the D tier, which is unplayable. We go to S, A, B, C, D tiers. Let's jump into it. Starting with Yu-Gi Kaiba format. I need to look this one up. It's Yu-Gi Kaiba format. It is literally the 2 structure decks and nothing. Or the 2 starter decks and nothing else. This is tolerable. It's fine. I think a lot of people forget how basic Yu-Gi-Oh was back in this day. And that unfortunately gets sort of lost a little bit. The early format's pretty fine and easy to remember because basically there's no ban list yet. It's just literally the cards available. Next we have Critter format. I think Critter format's good Yu-Gi-Oh! This is when I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Started to get like down to business. Let's get down to business. Yeah. Next we have Android format. I'm actually gonna check here because I need to see where this goes up to. Labyrinth of Nightmare. So when we get more big beaters, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of getting more into its basic sort of state here. We've got like control decks, beatdown decks, toolbox, water beat. I think this format's probably just... we'll say it's just good Yu-Gi-Oh! It's about the same as Critter format. I think Critter format's a little better. I don't think Critter format's memorable. It's good Yu-Gi-Oh! Next we have Yada. Oh, Yada. This is the deck that won the World Championship. Yes, a hand control. I'm going to say this is tolerable. I don't think... This isn't bad. It is just Yada lock. There's some neat stuff here, though, like Gravekeeper, Root Control. Just, it's the Yada deck that really drags this down from being good Yu-Gi-Oh! Next we have Vampire format. We're speeding through this. Let's go. Oh, man. There's some fun decks here. It's still a lot of, unfortunately, the layover from the last format, but I think it's just enough to put it back up to good from being tolerable. Next we have Warrior format. Ooh, Warrior. Are we gonna... Yeah, the final Duel Monsters, the final DM era format, and the first format with a ban list. This one's kind of overshadowed in terms of GOAT. So, I think we can just do this right here. GOAT is a memorable, it's an A-tier format. I think Warrior's about sitting here. I think GOAT is the first, like, the first memorable Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. It's a reason that that's, like, as far back as we go. We don't go further back. It's GOAT is, like, we consider that the peak of the old playground Yu-Gi-Oh! So, yeah, I think we can sit there in terms of this. I think in terms of the DM era, the only tolerable decks are these two. I don't think anything is unplayable because this is just kind of the way the game is back then. I think of these 4 formats, Critters is my favorite, but I don't think I'd call Critters as memorable as GOAT. It's just good Yu-Gi-Oh! It's good, solid Yu-Gi-Oh! We now move on to GX, starting with Cyber, which is just up to Cybernetic Revolution, I imagine. We're getting into some not great stuff here. Like, this very back and forths. This is probably good Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd say. I think we go a bit down, because the power level is just so predominantly in the favor of you play Sidras. You know what? No, I think at the moment it's fine. I think at the moment we're doing okay. I think Reaper format is actually extremely good, and extremely overlooked. There's a reason Reaper's up here in Spotlight. Reaper format is extremely underrated. Like, all these decks are so cool. Soul Control, Bazoo Return, Stein Monarch. Stein's still a problem, but it's not, like, a horrible problem yet. I kind of want to say Reaper's goated, in all honesty. I think Reaper's our first goated. I really like Reaper format. Let's put Reaper format up there in the goated pool. Next, we have SJC Indianapolis here with Chaos Return format. I think this format's a bit boring. It's all samey. Again, we get the introduction of some that's about to be extremely prevalent here. Yeah, only enemy of justice get introduced. Dark Holes Forbidden, Tribune Last Still Limited. This is mainly we get started in, like, Banish stuff. I just don't like Banish formats. We're probably going to put this down as tolerable. I don't think this is very good. I think we from compared to Reaper, I know it's only one set later, but I think everything that gets introduced in Emmy of Justice really just pivots the format in a way that's not as good as Reaper format. When you look at Reaper format and the things that it puts up, like we've got Avarice and Dark World, the Trinity finally get forbidden. The ban list is actually extremely prevalent here. Reaper format is just, it's goated. And it's just such a big drop-off. Likewise, I think we could put Science Rep as unplayable. Any Stein deck is usually just bad. Reaper format manages to edge it out because there's so many good decks that aren't Stein, but then when you start going more in the favor of Stein, that's why we get Chaos Return and then Stein, which is the first unplayable format in my opinion. Now we get into a really fun era. These next four are... Oh, these next four are truly some great Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, we got Airblade. I love Airblade. I legit... Because these three packs in particular, I love these three Duelist packs. It's when I was really hardcore into Yu-Gi-Oh! Heroes are sick. This is the kind of cool banish decks I like Dimension Fusion, Bazoo Return, Diamond Dude. Macro Monarch is just a sick deck. I think Airblade goes up here in Memorable. That is a great format. It's a really good format. We got Troop Dupe Scoop format, which is the introduction of some stuff like Perfect Circle. Gadgets gain prevalence here. Monarchs get more powerful with the introduction of stuff like Riser, Pulling the Rug, Six Sams get their first wave. Troop Dupe Scoop, we'll put that under good Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Airblade is better than Troop Dupe Scoop. Yeah, Airblade's better than Troop Dupe Scoop. What's next? Zombie. Zombie format is fine. It's got some... it's very 50-50, this one, because Tactical Evolution introduces a lot of stuff, but a lot of stuff in Tactical Evolution, I think, becomes notable and fun because how it is later on. Because Zombie's extremely good here, but, like, we have Demise OTK, we have Drainburn, Perfect Circle becomes very prominent here. I think Zombie's tolerable. I'm not a big fan of this format, personally. Yeah, not a fan. Then we have Perfect Circle, which, Perfect Circle is very 50-50, and Rise of the Dragon Lords with the Gladiator's Assault, like Darkness Dragon, Test Tiger, Foolish Burial, Trade. Perfect Circle is, it's very, as it says here, it's a very methodical format. It's very skill-based, I think, and I think that puts it a bit higher up. It's definitely good. Do I think it's better or worse than... Do I think it's around the same era as Goat and Airblade? Perfect Circle? I think it is, just because of the way the decks work. I think Perfect Circle's a fun format. BrainCon, Dust Shoot, go to 1. Faith gets returned. Disc Commanders at 1. I think this is the fairest format with Perfect Circle. So yeah, I think we can put that up there in Memorable. Okay, now we're moving on to late GX, early 5Ds. Dad Return is Dad Return. Like... It is what it is, for better or worse. This is pretty much up until... This doesn't include Light of Destruction. Because, yeah, the Glads aren't playing Geysaris yet. I'm not a fan of this, personally. I'd probably say it's good Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't think it's outright bad or anything. It's just good Yu-Gi-Oh! Here. But I think the Glad format is way cool. Perfect Circle, Monarch, Light Swans. Like, the last... sort of bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! The very end of the fusion deck format. I don't actually mind this era. I'd say this format's memorable. I quite like it. I think it's better than good Yu-Gi-Oh! In fairness. Not to say the same for the next format. Next is Teledad. This format fucking sucks. This format's unplayable. We're taking into account things like price range and stuff, particularly with these as well, where we can and where I think it's extremely prevalent. And yeah, Teledad is an unplayable format. It is too... Like, there is literally one deck. And, oh god, one of the worst formats in history. The advent of Tier 0. Which Tier 0, as we'll come back to, isn't necessarily a bad format. It's very personal and very opinionated. Cat format, we have Cat Control, we have Salvo Dad, Twilight makes its debut here. I believe this goes up until about Raging Blast-ish era. It really is like the Teledad is finally gone. Cat Return's pretty cool. It's good Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd say it's good Yu-Gi-Oh! We're getting more and more closer to Edison now. This is SJC Nashville. Edison is literally in a few months, I believe. Yeah, it's 2 months after this is Edison. Yeah, but Light Swan, like, it's not memorable. Again, it's good Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's only because Edison is goated and is one of the best formats Yu-Gi-Oh's ever had. Edison is Edison for a reason. Like, it's such a perfect format. in every way. There's really no question to it. Anyway, like, I can't even say much more about Edison, how goated it is. If you've played Edison, you understand why it is the format it is. Yeah, so we have X-Saber, which is slightly further on. I feel like it's just worse. Like, the advent of a lot of the X-Saber stuff, this format was also pretty bad in terms of problem-solving card text. So I think similar to the fall-off from Reaper to Zombie, or Reaper to Chaos Reborn, it's similar here when it comes to Edison to the fall-off to X-Saber. It's just not as good, and because of that, it instantly falls down a peg from even just being good Yu-Gi-Oh! I quite like Star Strike format. I know this one's pretty split. Star Strike Blast was one of my favorite sets in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think some of the strategies in this era are super cool. So I'm gonna put this up in memorable. I really like Star Strike format. 6am, this one's pretty 50-50. 6am and Tengu Plant are pretty similar in adjacency. Tengu Plant, similar to Goat format, actually, it includes the first set of the next era. 6am, for being up to Extreme Victory, I think holds it just back a little bit in terms of being good of anything. It's probably even tolerable in all honesty, because I think there's a few things that make this meta. Like, the only thing that really changes from 6am is the introduction of, the only thing that changes from X-Saber is the introduction of 6ams. And I think 6ams, the real problem they face here, is the way that Shien is just such a boss, that it's not really an even balanced format. And, like, the problem with a few of these formats and the way they said, if you're adjacent to, like, a absolute goated or even absolute memorable format, you'll look worse by comparison. I think that's worth taking into account, because no one wants to play 3 formats from the same year. You want to play the best one. So the other two, I think, immediately will go downgraded from good Yu-Gi-Oh! To tolerable if they're not almost as sufficient. Plus, this is my list, and if you want to make your own, go right ahead. Links in the description. Next, we have Tengu Plant. This one's very popular. I mean, this one is similar to Edison in a lot of ways, and even Goat, actually, I think, with a lot of the strategies that weren't prevalent in the meta have kind of come up in retrospect and with modern deck building principles. TG Stun, Scrap. I love Scrap as a deck in this era. Yeah, and Fabled, but like Plant Synchro and Agents just dominated this era. So Tengu Plant is interesting. I'd probably even just put in good. I feel like it goes into both these categories. It's both memorable and also tolerable at the same time. I'm not a big fan of it as other people, so I think it just balances out into good Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm happy to sit on that. I'm happy to sit on that fence. Welcome to Zexal era. I've skipped a few here and there. Like, I've skipped Trish, skipped Librarian. I think these formats don't offer enough change to be really prevalent. So that's why I moved on. Underworld. This is literally just... it's literally just Tengu Plant, but worse. Because the Dark World Mirror is absolutely horrible. So it just falls down a lever. Long Beach. Okay, now we're getting fully into some more modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So we have Long Beach and we have Dino Rabbit for the YCS Long Beach, and then the National North America WCQ series. I think the key thing that changes when it comes to each format going to the other is we get the introduction of the Chaos deck and the introduction of Hieratics. I think Dino Rabbit is cooler. I think the next other thing that's going to change too is the ban list and how that affects it. Yeah, that's right. This infinitely was the ban list that hit a bunch of plant stuff that wasn't even that meta or relevant anymore. I think the introduction of Hieratics and Chaos Dragons makes it a much more interesting format. So I think we put this down as tolerable. And then I think we put Dino Rabbit. I just realized they're in the wrong order. Dino Rabbit, I think, is quite memorable. I really like Dino Rabbit as a format. And then we end up in Wind Up, which is just... I believe this is a new ban list. Comes into effect. Yeah, which hits all the Inzectors. It hits Zen Maity. It just hits a bunch of stuff. I kind of like when all those decks are pretty much full powered. I think Wind Up pulls it down a bit. So I think it pulls it down from memorable to just good Yu-Gi-Oh! I think that's what we can say. As in fairness. Metalins. This format is gaining a lot. And I mean a lot of traction recently. And it is very fair to see why. This could easily be Zexal's Edison. And I think it should be, actually. The advent of... So, in terms of just variety already of this meta, like, you already see, like, look at some of these decks. Already, compared to the previous formats, Mermail, Spellbook, Infernity, Evil Swarm, and Fire Fist have all sprung up, and Dino Rabbit Fire Fist also is sprung up here. When you look at how the ban list has flowed things, then Carrier is banned and Sangan's banned. This turns off Tour Guide as the main thing, and it really cruxes the wind-up package, which I think is fair considering it's wind-up hand rip. Same with Magician here. A lot of decks like Insector are actually really nerfed because the way it is. Cards that no one likes, like 1 day a piece, are good limited. Solemn Warning, I think, is really cool at 1 in this era. You also get some stuff put to 2, such as Ryo, and then all this stuff that comes back really isn't that relevant to the meta. But I really like this format. I think Meadowlands is at least memorable, if not goated, in time. This could easily get up there. We'll leave it here for now, but Meadowlands is a very high A tier. Baby Ruler is interesting. People go back and forth over which, like, ruler is best, like, which ruler format. This has the exact same ban list as the last one. Yeah, so here we have Ruler, Dragoonity, Evil Swarm, Mermail, Karakuri Spellbook, and then the Baby Ruler. This is the more Spellbook Ruler format people remember. This is the format that... Yeah, this is, we banned 2 of the babies. We banned, sorry, 4, oh, this is after the babies got banned. This is, yeah, full-on Dragon Ravine. I think the babies are cool. I think I like the Baby Ruler format better. Man, this was one of the biggest ban lists in Yu-Gi-Oh! Look at how much changed. Like, so much changed in this ban list. Karakuri Gear is cool, I guess. I don't know. I think I like Baby Ruler more than Ravine Ruler, because Ravine Ruler... I think Baby Ruler's just got some more neat ideas and some more neat stuff to it. Though, when it comes to the rulers themselves, they are very prominent. I think Baby Ruler is memorable. I think Ravine Ruler is tolerable to almost unplayable. But I think Baby Ruler is, like, memorable for what it is. But I don't think it's particularly a good format. Fire Water format is interesting, YCS Chicago. So this is after the ban list that, yeah, so Ravine's banned, Return's banned, all these cards that should have been banned, just get rid of them, gone. All the rulers at 1, the obvious stuff. And I think it fixes a lot of problems with the meta. But I think a lot of the decks in this era are kind of boring. I think this is like the poor man's Meadowlands. And I think that's very much shown by, like, just the lack of interest in Fire Water format. It's got the dichotomy thing, but I don't think it's got as interesting. So I think we put Fire Water probably as just... It's tolerable. I don't even think it's good Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's just fine. I wouldn't say it's good Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's just a fine format. Again, when you're adjacent to certain other formats, you're going to get graded more harshly depending on how you fare compared to those. Vegas is interesting. I love some decks like Tin Gadget. I think Gear gets really relevant here. It's kind of like Fire Water format. I'm really strict on Zexalera too. Like, from my opinion. I think a lot of the stuff in Zexalera is kind of boring. I'm not a fan of just the era as it is, so I'm very biased in that opinion. That said, Hat format is very good. Dragon's Legend and Prio being released completely upends the way everything works. Decks that were still here are still good. This is the last era of Master Rule 2 as well, and the way it works. We get the introduction of Artifact Traptrix, Sylvan, just cool decks. It's the same ban list, so literally it's just the introduction of new archetypes, and I think it really rounds out the way the format works. This is, I honestly think, goated. I think this is another goated format. Thinking on as well, I also think Meadowlands is goated too. I think we're going to put it up there. I genuinely think these, of the pre-Pendulum era of Yu-Gi-Oh!, these are the 4 best formats. Reaper, I think it's Reaper, Edison, Meadowlands, Hat are the 4 best formats. And the only unplayable ones, I think, are Stein OTK and Teledad. I think it gets very close in some of these Zexaleras to being almost unplayable, and I even think some stuff like Dark World is pretty much almost unplayable. But I think this is a firm stance at this point. Now we go to one of my favorite periods of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's the period I got back into the game. Master Rule 3 era. Or the Renaissance era is another thing that's kind of been catching on recently. Shadows are interesting. I think Shadows are an interesting little meta. This is pure Duelist Alliance, and I think this is one that in hindsight and retrospect we see a little differently. This directly comes off Hat though, and I think that also knocks it down a little, but I generally think this is good Yu-Gi-Oh, so I'm just going to put it in there and call it a day. Then we have BA formats. This is new challenges, which completely, I think, rounds it out way more from just Duelist Alliance. BA format's interesting. It's probably also just good Yu-Gi-Oh. I don't think there's anything much to say about it. Then we get Charleston. YCS Charleston format, which is interesting. So there's another ban list. So a lot of the hat stuff's going here now. Dark Strike Scene has errata. Moral Tech goes to 1. Oh, this is the format they bring Snatch back. I think this one's tolerable. I don't think it's as good as these. I think the ban list kind of does both hinders and makes better. So I don't think it's good. Necros is unplayable. Frankly, this one is unplayable for interesting reasons. I think the decks in it are cool. I think the big thing that kills Necros format is how prominent Necros is as a deck. As well as, I think probably the biggest thing that kills it is how expensive the deck was to play. I don't know why. So this is the rulers have been banned. I think the ban list makes sense for this era, and the ban list is very good. Necros format is, yeah, it's basically unplayable. Not because of, again, the deck. I think the decks are fine. I think it is predominantly the price point and the way it worked. There was the point that basically people were playing Ritual Beast because they went so hard on the Necros boxes, and then they couldn't get them because everything was horribly printed in terms of ratios. So yeah, we're getting into an era of Yu-Gi-Oh! I quite like here. This is when Pendulum becomes a real thing. Clownbait, Infernoid, Cosmo, BA, Necros, thankfully, post-banishing, post-Jin Forbidden, and Shuried at 1. This format's sick. I really like Clown format. I think Clown format is awesome. We'll see if we have any lists for YCS Dallas. We do. Like Infernoid, Shadol, BA, Necros, Clownblade, Cleafort, Top 32. Like, just some cool decks. Cool decks. This is, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is really coming to its own here. I really like Clownblade. I think I'm going to put this up in memorable. I think it's better than good. It's a memorable format. And then we have Pepe. Now, I have a bit of a problem with Pepe. I forgot Construct got banned. Damn. Ban list is good. Ban list is good. Makes sense. Oh my god, the Pepe cards are insane. This is the only thing we have for this is YCS Atlanta. Actually, this isn't even the only thing. We're missing, actually, I believe it's YCS Sydney. It might have been. This format is not good. This honestly has to go in unplayable. Predominantly because it is just... Pendulum is the only deck to play. Domain Monarchs are here. They're cool and everything. But, yeah, the Pendulum cards are too oppressive. I think getting rid of Damage Juggler, Plush Fire, and Ptolemaeus especially as well. It was the only way to get the game moving going forward. My poor boy. My poor boy. At least you're here and you didn't get Stratos. Stratos is still banned at this point, isn't he? Yep, there he is, right there. Dracopal. Dracopal is just Pepe, but better. Memorable. Again, I'm biased. I'm extremely biased. I love these eras, these Pendulum-based eras. Especially because the 2016 period was when I first really got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, we didn't put Dracozu on the list. It's when I first really got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, so Pendulum was my bread and butter. Then we get Monarch format. Every deck's kind of Monarch here. Frankly. Are we using... Okay, yeah, Wavering Eyes got banned. This was really just a hit to the power of Pendulum. Wisdom at 1, Ignited at 1. Upstart came to... Yeah, Upstart from 2 to 1. Draco Face Off getting hit. Yeah, Yes, this is the Wing Raiders era. Yeah, Zolkin. Yeah. Monarch's interesting. I think... This deck... This era is kind of hard to place, I think. Oh, also ABC's coming up. This era is kind of hard to place. Because it's got a lot of good things, it's got a lot of bad things as well. I'm going to put this as a tolerable. Because it kind of balances out. There's some good stuff and some good decks. But then you get a lot of really bad mirrors. Like the Cosmo mirror is agony. This is where we really get into a lot of modern game design with untargetable monsters and floating monsters that people don't like. Yeah, there's better formats, I think, is just purely the thing. And before we move on to that, we have to look at ABC. ABC's November 2016, Grass 2017. ABC format is interesting. Like, I actually hated this format back then. However, in retrospect, I actually quite like it. I think it's at a very nice place. It hits a lot of the problem stuff. So Kaiser gets hit, Monkey Board's off the table. We've hit BA, Kieran's gone to 1, the Monarchs have been hit, Beatrice, E-Telly goes to 1, Pencore to 1, most of the Monarch stuff's been hit. We get introduction to new decks, ABC, Paleo, Dark Lord, Blue Eyes. Metal Foes is awesome. I love Metal Foes. This format's very varied. And I think a lot of people really like that about this kind of pre-Zoo Pendulum format. It's an era where Pendulum is only got one deck now, which is being Metal Foes. There's a lot of other decks that people really enjoy more. Kaijus are extremely prevalent here too. Like, look at these Paleo decks. Paleo is such a loved archetype for its trap usage. And then ABC also is one that you could literally buy 3 structures and basically play this deck. Like, a lot of the other stuff here, like, yeah, you've got some stuff like D-Barrier. That's the real problem with this format, is D-Barrier being the card it is. Turning off a lot of strategies. That, I think, really holds it back in terms of being a great format, is D-Barrier. Like, you got the gadgets. The Blue Eyes stuff is always... People love that. Look, Yangzing Metal Foes, playing the Terratops, the Red Eye, the Take. I love this format. I really like ABC. I'm gonna put that as memorable. I think that deserves to be up there and memorable. Zoos. Oh my god, Zoo. I mean, it's pretty telling that of these 6 popular decks, 4 of them are Zoo, and the only ones that aren't are Paleo and Metal Foes, which are, like, inverse game strategies. Kieran's been banned now, Tyrant Neptune's been banned, Vanities has finally been banned, Cat's come back, C's finally gone to 1, Breo's been errated, Future Fusion's back errated, a lot of erratas. IO comes back here, which is one of the many problems. This isn't the first Zoo format, because Ratpier is semied. But God. Just God. Zoo... I'm counting this as both Grass Zoo and Draco Zoo. And just... I'm not a fan of Grass as a card. I think it's a very insane strategy for certain things. And this is... We're back to another format of just there not being much decks to play. I think it's tolerable, because I think a lot of people really like Zodiac. I'm not going to say it's unplayable. I think it's tolerable. But yeah, it's not great. This is the era I ended up quitting Yu-Gi-Oh! For quite a long time. We then move on to Link Zoo. Link Zoo's not much better. We don't even have any tournaments to look into for this one. It's probably YCS Toronto. Link Zoo's problems basically is the advent of Link kind of made decks have nothing to do. This again is just a tolerable format. Yeah, Mrs. Radiant into Zodiacs was the only deck that could really compete at this point. Links were too new and fresh to have a strategy. And then we get into this, which let's just make this quick and easy. Spiral format is unplayable. Spiral is the next tier 0, and the first tier 0 in a long time. This is when people really figured out how Links could manipulate things and make things work. And God, was it a problem. Oh, just make that nice and quick and easy. Yeah, that's where Spiral belongs. Magician format. I gotta try and compete with my biases here. Yeah, the problem with Magician format... If I click this, does it show popular decks? Okay, it doesn't. The problem with the Magician format is some of the... So we're getting rid of the token stuff, which is good. But, like... My poor Pendulums. Look at how they're massacring my boys. Like, this is still... We've got the problems of early Link era, where just some stuff is just insanely broken, and there's really nothing that can be done about it. We had an FTK in this format as well. It's better than Spiral. Let's just move on from that. This format's kind of actually quite liked. Goki format, but like early Goki format. I think the big thing with this one is the way the ban list. So Masterpiece ban, Astrograph. We've hit the Pendulum FTK. This one, the Sky Striker package was super prevalent with Engage. Engage, Hornet Drones. Afterburners, yeah. No, this one's not bad. This one's not bad. I think it goes up to good. I think it's memorable. I think it's good. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's memorable. If it is, it's probably not for good reasons. Then we get dangers. This, again, we're just hitting more FTKs, getting rid of more insane stuff that exists in this whole era. Stratus finally comes back. That's sick. So I think we'll put the dangers also intolerable. And I think we put... is Striker good, or is it memorable? I think Striker's just good. Yeah, Striker's good. I like that. I agree with that. So I think we go back a bit from Goki with dangers. Actually, you know what? I'll be generous. I think this is a good streak. I think it's a good streak of just good. It's low good, but it's good. Then we finally start getting somewhere. So now we have Thunder Dragon format. Important bans, stuff like Summon Sorceress, Gunblast's been banned now, Firewall's been banned. The hits to Sky Strike with Kagari, I think that makes it much more even and fair. Now I need to compare these formats as well, because I don't know where it separates. The Lunalight format is where people start taking advantage of Leo. Rusty was banned? I didn't actually know Rusty was banned. Yeah, PK was a very prevalent deck in this era, I remember too. Yeah, so Circle's made the limited list now. I need to check, when did, what is considered TOS format? So July 2019 is considered the ban list in question. Yeah, so Lunalight format is technically TOS format. Oh, but Lunalight is after the release of... These are kind of separate. Like, there's really no TOS format here. Thunder Dragon and Lunalight format are just, like, separate things. Because Nibiru had released by the time we get to Lunalight. TOS is great. So Format Library doesn't really have a TOS format page. Because it goes straight from Thunder Dragon to Lunalight. But they put Lunalight in July 2019. So we'll say Lunalight is TOS format. With that in mind, I think this continues to trigger good Yu-Gi-Oh! I think TOS is goated. In hindsight, TOS is goated. I don't know if it's goated or memorable. It's pretty 50-50. As you can see, it's been a while since we had a memorable. The last goated format was Hat. I don't think Arc 5 era really has a goated format to be able to use historically as like a retro format. The whole era of Arc 5 was constant card design issues into card design issues, affecting playability of many decks. And I think that's what really holds it back from having a standout. The closest we get is Clown, Drake, and probably ABC. I think ABC format is the closest we get to a goated, but it's only a top memorable. Whereas TOS, I think, fully clears it, because similar to a way a lot of these formats work, they work a lot in hindsight. When we come back to them after many years on, we see the card design changes and the way we can look at these metas and the way they function. I think this is the best place for it too. It's the most balanced point. So Orcus format is the next ban list onwards, which doesn't do much. And then Rocket format is the proper ban list, which ends. This is the ban list that fully ends TOS, and that goes full into Rocket. So I think Rocket is just tolerable. I think Orcus is probably just good. Again, it really stands down. And I think the problem is the introduction of Dark Ruler more and Nibiru really just limit the decks that exist in it. So it really falls down. You know what, actually, I'm going to put it down here. I think Orcus falls off so badly because you're limiting... It's literally, you took TOS and you cut most of the decks out because of those other card design principles. And there's nothing to compensate for them yet. Which is why Orcus is... It's why it's Orcus format. I think Rocket also is not that great of a format. Okay, and now we enter the COVID era. Or the remote duel era, I guess would be the correct name for it. Now, this is when I started getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Bit by bit. So we start with that Emancipators. Wow, was it a ban list that literally just brought 3 cards back and did nothing else? That's insane. I mean, the reason being, there was no events. So, like, you can't really grade this. It's just more of the same. In fact, it goes probably... Actually, you know what? Technically, it's unplayable. Because there's no events, and the remote duel was horrible. This is all a horrible time for Yu-Gi-Oh! Then you get Infernobles, which thankfully you get rid of Block Dragon, which I think a lot of the stuff in Adamantipator was a problem. But now we have Hulk. And so it kind of balances back out in terms of a bad way. I think some of the stuff that changes in this ban list is cool. But at the same time, Hulk is bloody Hulk. This is getting better now, though. I think this is getting a lot better. Yeah, so now so Phantom Rage is where we're at now. So we had Rise of the Duelist. I think Phantom Rage is a sick set in hindsight. I think it really fixes a lot of problems. Same way as the ban list, I think, does a lot of little things too. We're still dealing with the problems of Hulk. I think Virtual World's when we finally get back to good Yu-Gi-Oh! Is Virtual World. What do we flow on? Oh, we flow on a D-Link format then, April 2021. In terms of ban list changes. Oh yeah, this was hitting a True King. D-Link's not bad. I think it continues the streak that we set. Then we get Trizu. Hey, look! Dex again! I think Trizu is a very, very good direction. Trident, LP getting banned, I think is a very important part. We got my boy Skullcrobat back. Salads finally get to come back. N-Gage comes back. Yeah, this was just a good time to get back into the game. I think Trizu is actually probably memorable. Drytron, Virtual World. They're not, like, super busted. Yeah, I think we have a solid... You can see a solid trajectory upwards from the unplayability that it's... From after Toss, we fall all the way back down to tolerable, and then drop down into unplayable, before going back to tolerable, back to good, and now we're back to memorable as we went on. I think I agree with that. And then we get Bird Up, which is now we have the introduction of Sword Souls. This is now we're in January of 2022. I think... this is an interesting little point here, I believe, with Bird Up. In terms of ban list changes, there isn't many. Like, just... Yeah, Meow Meow, Meow Mew go into 1. Tenki, again, the release of some stuff that wasn't really important. Just the question is, does Bird Up continue the streak left by Trizu? I'm a little biased here. I hate Sword Soul as a deck. I think Bird Up is neat, but I'm not a big fan of Tri-Brigade anyway. But Eldritch, I'm not a big fan of. I'm gonna have to put it down to good because of personal preferences. You could very easily say it is still tolerable. Sorry, you could say it's still memorable, but I think I'm just gonna have to put it down at good and call it a day there. Okay, now we move into the return to proper events, and all the way into the modern game, actually. For what I consider to be actually probably, and this is kind of becoming a more popular opinion, the golden era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. So we have Phoenix format, which is YCS Charlotte, the return of proper live events. Ban list hitting a lot of the Bird Up stuff, like Samorg being banned. IO finally being banned. A lot of stuff coming back to 1. Is Hulk banned by now, or no? No, Hulk's still free. This is just a good time for Yu-Gi-Oh! This is when I fully really got back into the game. I think this is a really good format. We're back up to memorable, boys. Next we have Despia format, the National Series. The WCQ Series. This list hits a lot of problems. Auroradon gets hit. Verte finally get banned. All this stuff that were making problems in the meta. We kill Rose Dragons a bit. Is Hulk banned now? Hulk's banned now, right? No? I guess with Auroradon we could bring back. Yeah, we got some cool stuff back. There we go. Hulk's to 1. That's right. Some of the cool changes here. Salads go pretty much, very much on the way back to full power. Drytron took a hit. I think we're just on a strong chain here, and memorable. I can't really see anything to knock it down. Oh, but we're getting up there. Now we have YCS Niagara into YCS Minneapolis. Oh, yeah, let's go. I love this era. Okay, Pote's released now. Power of the Elements. And with it, Tactical Masters too. So, Pote and Tactical Masters into each other is just chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. I think it's really just figuring out which of these probably is more notable than the other. I think a lot of it's going to come down to ban list. So YCS Minneapolis is interesting because it hit a lot of the stuff. It hit Hulk. With Hulk, a lot of stuff got to come back. A lot of stuff just really changed here. Chaos Ruler as well, Ronin Totem. Big hits to the Sprite strategy already from the get-go. I think I like YCS Elements more. Is it goated? It might be goated. I think just there's a lot of hits in Minneapolis that kind of changed the format a lot and swing it a lot into a different direction. They're very similar formats, ultimately, in terms of their card pool. You could probably say they're the same, but that's boring, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to say Elements is goated. I'm going to say memorable from Minneapolis. But then we flow into tier form of YCS Pasadena. This is one that seems to be coming up a lot, is YCS Pasadena. I believe this is also one that was talked about by Joshua Schmidt recently. In terms of ban list changes, the big thing here is the banning of Mine. I think it's the big thing that swinges around, and I think I've just also remembered that Mine was a thing. I kind of forgot that Mine was a thing. Herald goes to 1 with the Ishizu stuff. We'll put this at memorable. I think Ishizu's kind of really hurt the playability of tier and like the way it ends up working. Whereas I think a pure tier, like pure Pote, is really more goated in terms of it. That's why we've got the Elements format up here. I think I agree with that. I think I'm happy with that. Because that tier format is pretty much late 2020, early 2023. And tier format lasts a long time. That's multiple packs that really just don't change anything. And I think that's the problem with a lot of people, is it's a very long format. But now we get into a hot take. A very hot take, but I think a very correct take. Rescue Ace format. YCS Bologna. Now, this was when we had our OTS championship that I ended up finishing 3rd place in. And I think it's that factor that makes this format pretty important to me. Yeah, it covers a lot of events, you can see here. But YCS Bologna in particular, I think the ban list is basically perfect with the banning of Arise Heart and the limiting of Magnamut and Chaos Space following Worlds. Salad is full power here again as well. Sky Strikers are full power. Runic, Race, Lab, Ishizu, Infernoble, Pearly, Fire King. This is Fire King on release too. Like, Kanko, Vanquish, Unchained. There's so many cool decks. This format is goated. It is so good. It honestly makes me want to put this back down here. But I'll leave it up here for now. I think it deserves to be up here. Bologna is just brilliant. And I think it's really going to stand out in times past. And then we get to current day, Snake Eye format. Oh my god. Now, it's interesting with Snake Eye format. We've gone through multiple ban lists now. But I think the ban list they're showing here is the problem. But it's also the good thing. It's so weird. This format should be better than it is. But I'ma be honest here. It's unplayable. We have seen... I feel like the big thing that makes the Snake Eye formats such the problem it is can be seen with the the player-based reaction. The main part of that being, we had such a streak from... I'd argue from around Tri-Zoo Bird Up all the way through to YCS Bologna of brilliant Yu-Gi-Oh! None of those formats are worse than good. And the only one that is good is Bird Up, and every other format is either memorable or goated, because they're just such good Yu-Gi-Oh! There's problems. Yes, there's problems. Mystic Mine, a lot of other stuff. But there's a reason that Yu-Gi-Oh! Exploded in popularity over the past 2 years following COVID and the release of Master Duel. This Master Duel era has been great for the game, and we are now seeing a lot of players leaving the game, both due to format issues and also other stuff, which is again why I have that disclaimer, some of why Teledad is down here. It's more than just the decks. It's a lot of stuff that goes into these formats that makes them what they are. The historic appeal of it, the way it's going to be viewed in a few years, the way we view it now after a few years, the price of the game, people's ability to play the game, all this stuff that really holds us back. And that's why Snake Eyes, while it's been sitting around here for the longest time, it's dropped down to here now because nothing's being done to fix it. And it's just, we're now, what are we now after release of Snake Eyes? I believe it's pretty much, it's this band, we're about 6 months into it. Yeah, we're 6 months into this format. And nothing's changing. After YCS Bologna, Yu-Gi-Oh! Peaked here with Rarity Collection and Age of Overlord at this, in my opinion, of the current era, and it's been downward ever since. And we need a course correction desperately. So there you go. There's the tier list. That is our full tier list of the formats. I think I'm pretty happy with this. I think there's a few things that are pretty marginal. I think particularly the memorable category, there's a few things that could go up or down depending. I agree with all these being memorable. All memorable. Dino Rabbit, I think is pretty, it's a high memorable. This is probably a low memorable with the rulers. Memorable. Probably these ones here are pretty questionable because of stuff like Verte and stuff like Mystic Mine. I agree with these. I think good and tolerable, perfect. I don't think I change anything in either of those. I think in the unplayable, I agree with all of these for one reason or another, being where they are. Whether being tier 0 decks, whether being decks that ruin the ability to play, the decks that outprice the game, or problems with the game at hand. All these belong here. I believe all these are fully unplayable formats in every way. Likewise, up at Goated, I think this is a perfect list. With the only one that I think is low Goated is probably right here. Elements format. But I think I really like this format because of just the way Pote changed the game and like Pote on release was. Yeah, no, I'm happy with this list. I think it's, I love that we have an even number of goated unplayable formats over a 25-year history. That said though, I really would love all these formats to get fully supported in future. We're already seeing with Reaper, Edison, Hat and Meadowlands are growing on fast. And then over time, I think Toss will become more prevalent, as well as Elements and YCS Bologna. Bologna format is just, oh man, it's got to catch on certainly sometime.